All right, all set, thank you. Okay, good afternoon, still all set? Or-
Yes.
Okay, perfect, thanks, saw that change. All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joe Better. I'm the chair of the IDA, the City of Albany Industrial Development Authority Audit Committee. I call this one of our two semi-annual meetings to order. Today is Thursday, March 12th, and we'll land at 12. So the first order of business is can I get a waiver to waive reading of and adopt the meeting minutes from the previous meeting as they were previously made available publicly on our website? So move. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next, moving on, we have no unfinished business, so we will begin with new business. So the first is a review of draft 2025 audited financial statements, and we'll turn it over to our outside accountant to present.
You have to point it at that television.
At this one over here, okay,
See,
thank you.
it's gotta be turned on too. Press the big one. Hold on. Sorry, excuse me. It was on, but you could barely see. What you do? We'll find it. No, the big one. Yeah, where is it gonna go?
You have to link it up to the eye.
Can you drive, Cassidy? Can
Yeah.
you? Yeah.
Yeah.
And you tell our next slide or?
Yeah, just go to the next slide. That's perfect.
First part of that was the pointers working
There
on.
we go.
Thank
Just,
you.
just to introduce myself, everybody, I think I've met people in the past. Alan Wall, third partner with the Barney Deal Group. We have completed the audit of the IDA and the CRC for the year ended December 31st, 2025. The first slide here is the scope of services, so the services we provide to the IDA. The primary objective is to audit your financial statements and provide an opinion on them. Additionally, we provide a required communications letter, which is required every time we perform an audit. Next slide. So the overall results of the audit, we will be issuing an unmodified opinion on the IDA's financial statements. That is the highest level of assurance that we can give on your financial statements. That is the opinion that all of the users will be looking for. With regard to the reports under government auditing standards, there were no internal control findings or compliance findings. We would also like to thank IDA staff and your outside bookkeepers, MMB, for all their assistance in helping us get through the audit. An audit is a collaborative effort, and we can't audit what isn't provided to us, so a big thank you there. Next slide is required communications. No new accounting policies were adopted this year. No significant difficulties in performing audit, no disagreements with management. We are not aware that management consulted with other accountants, and our discussions with management were in the normal course of our professional relationship. The next slide is financial highlights from the financial statements. The first highlight here is the statement of net position, which is on page 7 of the reports if you have them in front of you. The highlights here, total assets at the end of the year were $6.788 million, of which cash was $5.311 million. The mortgage receivable was $132,000. That mortgage receivable is expected to be collected by the end of 2026. And there was a lease assets for $1.335 million. The total liabilities were $1.6 million, of which current liabilities were $228,000. The current liabilities consist of accounts payable, accrued liabilities, and then there's a mortgage payable as well. And then the long-term lease liability is $1.377 million. The accounting formula is assets minus liabilities brings you to net position. Your net position at the end of the year is $5.183 million, of which 5.173 million is unrestricted. Your statement of revenue and expenses is on page 8. The highlights here, your operating revenue from agency fees for the year were 2.475 million. Operating expenses were 1.023 million. Non-operating expenses were $4,800. For a net increase in net position of $1.448 million. The last primary financial statement for the IDA is the statement of cash flows. The highlights here, and that's on page 9. The highlights here, operating cash flow was 1.52 million. Financing use of cash was 56,000. Investing cash flow was 51,000. For a net increase of cash of 1.515 million, leaving you with cash at the end of the year of 3.8 million. The government auditing standards report. Internal controls, there were no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies reported, and no instances of non-compliance reported. Any questions with regard to the results of the audit? No.
Simple and straightforward.
Thank you. We will issue final reports probably sometime next week in time for the 3/31 Paris reporting deadline.
Thank you. Any other questions, members of the board, questions, comments? Where? Nations for board. Yep. Could I get a motion for a positive recommendation to the full board of the audit report? So moved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much. Next, we are on to review of the draft 2025 Paris reporting. I'll turn that over to the employees.
I defer to Olivia and Andy for the most part at the start of the show. A lot of their project activities taking up the preponderance of your attachments here. But we have the annual procurement, the investment, and then the performance management report. It's provided in advance. We take any questions. Again, everything was directly populated from the results of the financial audit. So there's no variance in the financial figures. And also not many changes year over year with respect to the data that's being reported out. I don't have any supplemental commentary other than things are tracking as expected. IDA remains fully compliant in all respects. Even the procurement report really is substantially similar year over year. But we will take any comments, questions, or concerns.
I will just add, as we do every year, to call your attention to the board of directors listing and just make sure all of your information is correct. If there's any edits you need to see made before you need to submit this, please let us know. But we have the information accurate as we know it, unless you've changed employment or otherwise. So starting on about page 28 of 128, if you're going by the packet pages, or 3 of 92 of the Paris reporting. Starts.
Well, you're.
Don't start to get antsy.
One thing that we do want to go through one last time, and Olivia will drive that bus, is to run through you have, as Andy B noted, you have a copy of the draft annual report, which is the summation of our jobs reporting and all that stuff that gets input into Paris at the end of the month. But we wanted to run through that reporting one last time with this body. We have had some updates since the last time we ran through it. So you've been provided with the document that Olivia used to track, yeah. So
We'll do
without
that
further ado,
right now.
yeah.
Okay, so as Andy said, we have been working with project applicants since early this year to get jobs reporting from each of them. And we've also worked with the treasurer's office to report on pilots paid. So that information is all included in the Paris reports. I will note, there are still slight adjustments being made. Andy and I went through it in detail yesterday and caught a few data entry errors, things that we need to make comments on. So we'll continue to refine and make adjustments, and work with the treasurer's office there on that. On jobs reporting, you were given 3 spreadsheets in front of you, so we'll start with the freight leases for the IDA. It's that. Yeah, the one that's vertical.
Or maybe not.
Smallest numbers.
Yes.
They have to,
Oh, great.
Yeah.
yeah, you have like a.
I got it, I got it.
You get the cheat code.
No. There were 64 active straight lease projects in 2025. Of those, 63 out of 64 have reported at least a draft version or really now finalized version. There is one that has not reported. I'll discuss that when we get to it on the spreadsheet. Of those 64, 15 were under construction, which is about 23% of all projects. Of the 49 completed jobs, 12 were underreporting below 80%. That 80% threshold is the threshold at which we could pursue recapture for projects that closed after 2015 and have a recapture provision in place. So of those 12 underreporting, 7 have a recapture provision in place, and I will note those as we move through this. We've also received sales tax reporting for all projects that were under construction and that had received sales tax exemption, and there were no overages to report on that. Total jobs reported were 1,177. Of those, 576 were retained and 602 were created. 925 construction jobs were reported as well. So we'll kind of move through this list line by line. And I'll note some things for us. If there's any questions along the way, just feel free to interject and stop me. So starting on line 1, which is 1385 Washington Avenue Associates. Staff has still not received the New York State 45 for this project. We have given them multiple reminders. It is the final reporting year, but we have yet to receive it after many reminders. So continue to pursue that ahead of the deadline. But I did want to make the board aware of that. And then moving down to line 7, 136 State Street Properties LLC is underreporting with 30 jobs out of a committed 40, about 75%. This one does not have a recapture provision. Capital Health Consulting, one of the tenants, vacated the building early in 2025, and the owner is actively soliciting new tenants. Then moving down to line 10, 40 Steuben LLC is reporting 0.75 FTEs out of a committed 3, which is about 25% of the committed jobs. There is not a recapture provision on this one. That 0.75 is related to maintenance. That commercial space on the ground floor of that building does remain vacant, as it has for the last several years.
Sorry to interrupt, just to interject, if there's any projects that are reporting in a way that makes any committee member or board member feel like they want more information, please let us know. We'll follow up with them. That could be anything from an emailed explanation to potentially bringing in someone in front of a committee or board, just kind of explain what's going on. So just keep that in mind, and please don't hesitate to do that if you feel the need.
Thanks, Andy. Yeah, on 40 Steuben, the project representatives have represented that they've had difficulties filling that commercial space and finding a tenant to take it. Moving down to line 12, 488 Broadway Arcade LLC. This project reported 10 jobs in 2025 out of a committed 20, which is 50%. There is no recapture provision on this one. Albany Center Gallery and Bombshell Downtown, 2 of their tenants vacated the space in the building. The project owner is actively soliciting for new tenants. It hopes to fill those spaces soon. Moving down to line 13, 4 to 6 Sheridan LLC reported 0 jobs at the end of 2025. They do not have a recapture provision. Amacosina, the previous tenant, did close in 2025. However, there is a new tenant in that building. They just wouldn't have reported for 2025. So next year we would expect to see an uptick again in jobs. So it's great that that space has already been filled. On line 15, 391 Myrtle Ave Medical Office Building, I would just note, this one's reporting 329 jobs. versus a committed 20. AMC has been reporting very strong job levels over the life of the pilot, so I just wanted to call that out. Similarly, on line 16, Aon Nexus Corporation, they are reporting 30 jobs. They had committed 12 originally. They have grown their workforce significantly over the past few years and are also looking to expand potentially soon. So that's great, reporting strong job levels there. I will call out line 17, Albany Hotel Inc. The board approved additional sales tax exemptions for this project in 2025. So this project will be closed out in Paris and report under a new project going forward. So that's why there's nothing reported there. On line 21, MCK 27 Enterprises LLC, also known as Penta on Broadway. We did not receive reporting from this project after numerous attempts. It was terminated early, so the project representative no longer owns the building. We anticipate that they might not report to us. It's now under new ownership. The agreements have been terminated. So this will be the final year. And if we do not receive reporting for this, we'll report to 0 to Paris.
Which number was that?
That's line 21.
21. Oh, there, okay.
Moving down line 23, Sheridan Hollow Enterprises reported 10 jobs out of a committed 16, which is around 63%. This project does not have a recapture provision in place. They have a tenant, Habitat for Humanity, which has been their longstanding. They did have a vacant space that they filled in 2025, so they're anticipating replacing an uptick in jobs over the next couple of years as well. I'll call out line 30, Harmony Mills South LLC. This project is reporting 16 jobs out of a committed 5. I did also want to note on this one that we did receive letters in lieu of New York State 45s for multiple tenants. So in the past, this body has accepted those, but I did want to call that out. They also have an additional commercial space, which is slated to open soon, so that's very exciting. Moving on to line 32, Laughlin Dawn LLC is reporting 7 out of 7 committed jobs. I did want to note that they submitted a payroll report in lieu of the New York State 45 for this project. Moving down to line 34, the Swinburne Building reported 2 out of 4 jobs, which is 50% of committed. They do have a recapture provision. This number is in line with what we've seen over previous years. They reported that their leasing office runs efficiently with 2 employees. And this project did also submit a letter in lieu of the New York State 45. Moving right below that, line 35, Swinburne Commerce is reporting strong job levels, 137 FTEs versus a committed 43. Their commercial tenants, Equinox and Whitney Young, continue to maintain strong employment levels. I did want to note we are still working to try to receive the New York State 45 from Whitney Young. The project representative has made multiple attempts and has not been successful in getting that yet. So we're still working to hopefully get that in before the deadline. Moving down line 36, the Rep LLC reported 14 jobs versus a committed 31. There is a recapture provision on this project, sorry. This is pretty much in line with what we've seen. COVID altered their original plans to include a full service cafe. And additionally, employees of their scenery shop are reported under a different entity. So 14 is pretty in line with what we've seen from them over the last several years. I did want to point out as well 39 Columbia Street. This is the final year of reporting for that project. Employment levels continue to remain strong there with 154 FTEs. Right below that, 45 Columbia Street reported 0.5 FTEs this year out of a committed 1, which is 50%. They do have a recapture provision. That 0.5 FTE is related to maintenance. The garage on site there has been fully automated for several years, so no jobs have been reported related to the garage. I will call out 563 New Scotland Ave. This project still is under construction. They reported 7 jobs in 2025 versus a committed 15, which is around 47%. They do have a recapture provision in place. They had a loss of a commercial tenant in 2025. The Starbucks moved out. They are anticipating that they'll hold that space filled soon. So we anticipate seeing stronger jobs reporting next year.
And on that note, they have some tenants that open this year ballooned.
Yes.
So we expect to see this number to jump significantly next year. Especially with the Starbucks space being, we would assume, repurposed rather quickly.
Yeah, much more difficult to park over there.
Oh, it has. Yeah.
Um,
Sorry, Olivia.
No worries. Right below that, 1211 Western Avenue, reported 0 jobs. This project is still, under construction and complete, so we would anticipate that that would remain 0 jobs until such a time as that gets completed.
They did pay their pilot bill.
Right below that, 61 North Pearl Partners reported 4 jobs, 50% of reporting. They do have a recapture provision. They have several of the commercial spaces in that building are filled. They are all sole proprietors. And then there's one additional FTE related to property maintenance on that property. I will quickly note line 44, 745 Broadway. They're reporting strong for their jobs. They did submit a payroll report in lieu of the New York State 45, so I just wanted to call that out. Moving on to line 49, Man Realty LLC is reporting 2 jobs out of the committed 4. That commercial space, I think they've yet to find a tenant for it. We would anticipate that once they do, that number would bump up. But they did report that they are having tenants move in March. So that's good news. They do have a recapture provision on that one. Line 50, 21 Erie Associates reported 28.5 jobs out of the committed 49. They do have a recapture provision in place. They did lose 2 commercial tenants in 2025. However, they gained 2 new ones, Zone 518 and a cybersecurity firm. And they also had a cafe move in early in 2026. So that should increase the jobs reporting for next year. Line 53, Indispad Flair LLC is reporting 0 jobs. They do have a recapture provision. The expected tenant for this property, FYE, their expansion plans never materialized. So they've been searching for a commercial tenant for the past several years and have been unsuccessful in securing one.
And just of note, there is no pilot associated with this project. It was strictly a mortgage and mortgage recording and sales tax exemption project.
And then line 57, 48CC LLC reported 0 jobs out of a committed 12. They do have a recapture provision in place. They did report that they had a tenant moving in February, and there was definitely fit up associated with that. So they're still working to fully tenant the space and fit it out for the tenant. So we anticipate seeing that increase in the next reporting year. So those were all the projects that I had to call out. If the board has any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Overall, the numbers are really good for jobs. We're over. You know, the expected job creation numbers, despite the fact that these projects are one of the smaller ones.
Yes.
We're gonna lose the reporting capabilities on a couple of these larger ones, namely 391, the medical office building. I believe it's the last year of reporting there. So that's significant. And there was one more on here that Olivia had called out. It might have been 39
Yeah,
Columbia. So, you know, but based on the project activity that was introduced yesterday, we would expect to backfill that a little bit from a jobs numbers perspective. So
There's 2 fewer projects for you to deal with.
If there's no questions on the straight leases, I will move on to bonds. We had 7 active bonds with the IDA in 2025. Sorry, is that smaller? Yes, that one. Yes. We received reporting from 6 out of 7 of these Creighton Story homes. This bond was fully satisfied in 2025. There was 0 jobs associated with it. After numerous attempts, they have not submitted reporting. So we'll continue to work to try to get that. But this is the final reporting year on that. The only other one I would call out is the Renaissance Corp of Albany project, slightly underreporting with 6 out of 9 created jobs. This is in line with what we've seen from them over the past several years. They contract with small businesses for their property maintenance services. And just to step back for a minute, the active bonds reported 934 jobs. in 2025. 306 of those were created and 628 were retained. So strong jobs reporting numbers there. I will note, there are still 2 outstanding bond confirmation requests. We're working with US Bank to receive those. It's been a bit of a process to secure those from US Bank specifically. But we do anticipate getting those before the deadline, and that will be updated for us to reflect that once those come in.
All right.
And that is everything I have.
Any other, thank you guys for putting this together. Any other questions or comments from the board?
Just really quickly, to mirror Olivia's comment, on page 20, you'll notice a highlight where the bond information is going to be populated and received. So we've engaged counsel for assistance, and Olivia's point, I think she's done a lot of the lift on this, so thank you, but we do expect the other 2 outstanding to be reported and populated. Other than that, the Paris reports are congruent with the audit, no expectations or issues that we will file at the time of the matter. I just want to thank Alan and his team for their assistance this year on the smooth and efficient.
And I think along with the Paris reports, you do have a copy of the mission statement and performance measurements in your packet, page 124 of the large 128-page packet. This is a requirement as part of our annual reporting, so please review that. And then you also have your 2025 assessment of the effectiveness of internal controls memo for this committee.
Is there any questions or comments on these? Go through. Any comments? All right, can we take all of the items under B as one motion, or do we need separate for each?
Do it all, Chair.
Okay.
Perfect. All right, can I get a motion for a positive recommendation to the full board of the draft 2025 Paris reporting, including the annual report, procurement report, investment report, and mission statement and performance measures report? So move some. Can we get a second? Second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. All right, and then we go to C, review. Yes, or do we even, yeah, well, we can review, we'll go review of management assessment of internal controls. We have them.
The memo outlines all the extensive ways in which we do have internal controls and notes that they are effective, and there's some efficiencies. No corrective actions.
Excellent. All right, any questions, comments from the board? Or reverse? All right, can I get a motion for a positive recommendation of the review to the full board of management's review of management's assessment of internal controls? So move. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. And now we are on to, thank you guys, other business compliance report.
I think we covered that, right, with your.
The only thing I would note is there is the board training memo in the back, very last page of the packet.
Yes.
It is an ABO best practice for board members to complete that training every 3 years. The direct links to the website with the schedule is in that memo, as well as the policy guidance, as well as a table that shows everyone's most recent reporting date. I will note that Lee came in right under the deadline with his confirmation. So he updated on my memo. So, but take a look at that. It is best practice to complete that training every 3 years. So if you're beyond that, consider
Maybe not compliant.
consider taking a training.
She didn't marry you out.
I have no problem calling myself.
Yeah. All right, and we don't need any recommendation on that, that's just, do we doing it, for us on this, on the compliance report, correct?
Yes.
All right, if they're being.
Just one last thing, I just wanted to thank, obviously, Bondio, Andy V and Olivia. It's a tremendous amount of work to get this meeting to the point where it is today. And it's not just the month of March, it's really from the first of the year through today. So just wanted to acknowledge that and thank both of them. And I'm glad that I'm doing less of that.
Delegated.
It's the most important thing that this body does, and it's not doing it. The way we do it is a great way to get yourselves in trouble, so very much appreciated.
Yeah, I think we all share that, those sentiments, and thank you all for everybody who's involved, and. This is very good results in this, so thank you. Motion to adjourn. You stole my thunder, I did it, voice. Gonna get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
One and done.